It's me, I'm back again to talk about the best books that I read this year. There aren't that many. And I don't know if it's because my standards are too high. They're not in any particular order. These are just the books that, they really did something this year. Drunk on All Your Strange New Words. This is a near future amateur sleuth sci-fi murder mystery set on Earth. Aliens are our new oligarch rulers, and translating for them makes you drunk. It's a special skill that only specific people have, and it makes you drunk. We spend the book following one of these translators. Obviously, somebody around her dies, and we follow one of these translators through the book. This is delightful. This is a fantastic book. This was a great way to start off the year. I liked learning about this near future Earth through the main character's sleuthing. Like some political things here and there, like how things are like structured now, how other people live besides her. She's in a very privileged position to have this translator gig. It's not amazing, but like it's better than a lot of people. At some point she goes home. This is set in New York, and she goes back home to I want to say Middlesbrough, Southampton, I don't know. Somewhere she goes back home to the UK, and you kind of see how people live and see how these aliens affected our societies. The answers at the end, they might let you down, they let me down. All of that for this is what I thought at the end. Oh my god, but I enjoyed the journey. I just love aliens. Like, if you put an alien in your book, I'm probably gonna love it. Speaking of loving aliens, another book that was absolutely delightful and charming and sweet was Strange Love. I found this book by going to romance.io and clicking, all of the things that I'm not interested in, all of the things I'm into, and this was one of the results, and wow. There's no like insta love or insta lust. There's no like weird fated mates stuff that is for some reason very popular in sci-fi romance. This is just mature, sensible adults making the best out of a very weird situation. I loved the actual alien anatomy of the male alien. He didn't just have like a dick and balls. I appreciate that. I think that's one of the things I'm craving so much of in sci-fi romance, is like just well thought out worlds and aliens and alien societies and like interesting exobiology stuff. Put some actual sci in the sci-fi. This was very interesting. I loved the plot. The stakes were very high, but you knew at the end, because it's a romance, that things would work out. I also liked how normal our heroine is. She's like smart and sweet and practical. Loved that. And I liked how she and the alien communicated, like worked through their communication issues when they arose, because this is obviously an alien. And I loved how sweet the male alien was without being pathetic. Also, the love scenes in this were fascinating. I was reading these like I was reading my microbiology books in university. Like, this is about an alien who, this is the last chance he has to find someone to marry him. Otherwise, he will never have the opportunity to get married again. They have a weird alien society. So a marriage is arranged with somebody, and he goes out on his ship to get her. But then very soon, we realize that he picked up the wrong person. Then Planetfall. Planetfall, this is a fantastic book that did not stick the landing, hence 4 stars. This is a character-driven far future space colony sci-fi, and we are inside the head of Renata the whole time. She's one of the colonists, one of the, I would say, founding members. This woman was so interesting. She was interesting both gawking at somebody going through something, like her mental illnesses, which is something to think about ethically, but it is what I was doing, if I'm being honest. And also just her character, who she is, what she wants, what she's doing here, what drives her, why is she the way that she is. All of that was so interesting. This colony is situated next to like a very weird, unexplained, strange alien artifact. At the beginning, there are things that she talks about that are normal for her, but for me and you, were like, what is going on, babe? What are you talking about? But they get clearer as we go along, and I love that. I just love being thrust into the world. Eventually you realize, okay, so this human colony on this alien planet is situated next to this weird alien artifact. Strange, fleshy, disgusting. Love a good alien mystery. These are the only colonists on this alien planet, and then one day a person comes on foot. This book was amazing. So many interesting mysteries. Although there are some mysteries that are uncovered, like why they're here, some of the reasons why Renata might be the way that she is, what happened at the beginning, who is this new arrival. Those questions will be answered, but a lot of other questions will not be. Like, what's with this weird fleshy alien artifact that they seem to worship? I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed uncovering the things that we did uncover, and I loved learning about Renata. This was great. Planetfall ruined other space colony sci-fis for me, unless it's about exobiology or exploration or whatever. I don't mind those, but if it's about the people, then I can't read it. The Cybernetic Tea Shop is, oh my god, I melt when I think about this book. This is a sweet, beautiful sci-fi romance set in the future. I want to say medium future, between a flighty human and a grieving robot. It sounds grim, but it's not. Like, this is just, it's sweet. Warm, comfortable, short. It's a novella. This is about letting go and starting over. This was so well plotted and paced. I would be reading this and I'd get to a point where like, okay, I'm ready to move on. And then would turn the page and guess what? We were moving on. I was like, whoa, very sweet. Don't read this book if you're one of those girls who leave 1-star reviews on romance novels and being like, 1 star, there was no sex in this. This year I also read My Sister the Serial Killer, 5 out of 5. This was fun. This was a great time. If your domestic thriller is not like this, then I don't want it. This is about a nurse who, guess what? Who has a sister who is a serial killer. We follow a main character, the nurse, whose sister is the serial killer. And the nurse, our main character, is like always there to like help pick up the pieces after it happens. The sister is always like distraught, like, oh my god, I don't know how this happened, blah blah blah. The nurse is always there to help out, to, clean. This was short and sweet. And also, our characters can be frustrating at times, but it was so understandable. You understood exactly what was motivating everybody. This was such an honest look at specific familial relationships, specifically like how, certain daughters are treated. If somebody's deemed sort of more attractive than somebody else's within the family, like that sort of thing, but you understood why everybody did what they did, even though it was a little bit silly, but not really. You kind of understood what led them down to this path. I also liked how this was about sisterhood, both like genetic sisterhood and also sisterhood as a class. Loved this book. Then a book that could have been on my most surprising list, because this is a fantasy and I don't think I like fantasy, even though this is one of my favorite books of the year and it's a fantasy. This is Empire of the Sand by Tasha Suri. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, great book. I was getting Middle East and South Asian vibe. This is a book about a noble woman who is a noble woman, but like not in a fun way. There's nothing fun about this lady's life, who gets married off under some very, very, very shady, dodgy circumstances. And then when she gets to her marital home, things get even shadier and weirder. This was so good. I picked this book up because it was pitched as a romance, and there is romance and I love it. But the romance is a subplot and it's so good. It's so rare that you read like a book with a romantic subplot that's actually good. Actually, it's good that it's rare that you read a book where the main plot is a romance and it's good. But anyway, I loved the writing. I loved our main character so much. She was smart and thoughtful and pragmatic, but like not supernaturally so. Sometimes the despair is too much and it gets overwhelming, and she reacted accordingly. She made mistakes like a human person, but I loved her. I was rooting for the whole time. This was a standalone, like it is the first in a series, but you can read this as a standalone as I did. But that might be an issue with standalone fantasies where they do go on a bit long, but I did appreciate the attempt to close all of the threads. In terms of like the mythology and the world and the magic systems, loved it. Usually I'm not interested in that stuff, but this was interesting, possibly because it was different. This was not set in some like medieval England village or whatever. This book made me think that I liked fantasy, but I don't. It's just this book. Then finally, our last book is Wool. And this is a short story by Hugh Howey. Quite possibly the best short story I've ever read. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you use the format to tell a good story. Introducing the characters, introducing you to and expanding on the world, making me care about the character, and then telling the story quickly, efficiently, but effectively. This was so good. Can you tell that my battery died? Anyway, Wool is about Wool is a post-apocalyptic science fiction. Or is it? People live in silos underground in the future. And that's that. It's hard to talk about a short story without spoiling it, but it's so good. This is the best one I've ever read. Nothing has come close since. So those were all of my favorite books that I read this year. Or were they? No, I lied. All of those books, they all tied for second. The first place book is a book that I read in December of 2022. But this might as well have been a 2023 book, because this book has been hanging over my head throughout the year. Every single book I pick up, I am subconsciously or sometimes consciously comparing it to this book, and this is There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. I was chasing the high of this book. That's why I say it was a specter hanging over my head. Nothing has come close. This is a weird science fiction book set here on planet Earth, but in a secret facility. And this is about a group of people whose job it is to basically fight ideas. Not ideas like fascism, they're more specific and weird than that. And, some of them are more destructive than others. I loved this book so much because this is what I want. I just want like a good premise and a good plot and for the plot and the premise to be the focus of the book, the characters in this are fine. They're okay, but I don't care. I don't care about characters. Whenever you see me sitting here talking about, oh, I loved the characters, I loved this, I loved that, I'm settling. I'm a plot girl. I love a good premise. I like a big, crazy, wild idea, and I like seeing what the ramifications of that big, crazy, wild idea was. And I got this in this book. I would turn a page and there would be a weird, insane idea introduced, and watch the characters try and figure out how to counteract that. This book is insane. I love the fact that clearly the person who wrote this book had an idea and they followed through with it. There were other ideas sprinkled in throughout as well to kind of flesh out the world a little bit. And I also enjoyed the fact that I was like 2 steps behind the whole time. I was just along for the ride. I was like, this is insane. This is crazy. Like, things got progressively crazier. The ending was so goofy and silly. I was like, okay, but whatever. I love this so much. I just love such a weird book, being able to communicate the things that were communicated in this book in such a way that I was able to picture clearly and understand completely what was going on is a skill. The litfic girlies love a story being told in an interesting way, or a character's brain being dissected. There's art in good storytelling as well, in communicating insane, weird ideas and premises. Like, not everybody can write this book. First of all, because not everyone is creative enough, but also being able to communicate these ideas, the ideas in this book effectively, is a skill. Someone did a great job with this book and I appreciate it. So this is why this was hanging over my head. Because a lot of the science fiction that gets written these days, it feels paint by numbers almost. Like, it's rare that you find something like this, where it's just somebody and their weird, crazy ideas and it being executed so well. Probably going to be my favorite next year as well. Like, this, nothing came close. This is one that I want to forget so I can reread and enjoy all over again. The other books were all like the Miss Inter-Country here, and there is no anti-mimetics division, was Miss Universe. I had a fantastic reading year in general. I had more 5-star books than I did 2 and 1-star books combined, and I had more 4-star books than I had 3-star books. I had a great time. I had an amazing time this year.